Alrighty, so news of the week episode on this Thursday evening, and once again we have more news to talk about when it comes to signings and transfer rumors. It almost feels like the league probably heard what I said, the fact that in the last news of the week episode there wasn't as much signings, and saying, "Yeah, here we go, let's put a ton of signings and rumors to talk about at least in the last couple of days." So some of these signings are pretty much just confirmation of what we were expecting in terms of some transfer rumors that have finally come to an end with the signing officially announced by the club. Now, before we talk about some signings, first of all, MLS has mentioned that they are set to cut half of the Spanish language talent, and this is not a big surprise considering it feels like every single year the league have decided to cut half of the league broadcast talent, and they have replaced some of them as well. Now, have they replaced them with better ones? No. I would say it feels like every single year, especially in the English language broadcast and the commentators that's being replaced, I feel like it's just gotten worse every single year. It feels like they got rid of all the good ones, and now the ones that are here are just kind of mediocre at best. And I understand that part of that is because they're trying to maybe save some money whatsoever, but it does still sucks the fact that we're getting rid of some of the better talent, especially from what I heard with the Spanish language talent. And I don't really watch or listen to the Spanish language talent because obviously I don't speak Spanish. But for people that have said in terms of listening to the Spanish language, it's much better than the English one. They definitely give more insight compared to the English and the American side of things, and that kind of makes sense in a sense. And it's also so good that with the Spanish language, it's almost like a replacement in terms of some of the bad English commentators that is on the English side, and now that's not going to be the case because of the talent is being cut half. Yeah, it definitely sucks to see that. But like I said, it's not unexpected because it just feels like almost every year we always get the news that MLS is trying to move on from some of their broadcast talent and basically replace some of the newer ones for this upcoming season. But speaking of the upcoming season, let's talk about some signings. So the first couple of signings, I'm going to just kind of mention straight off the back and don't really need to mention too much because we already talked about this before. And the first signings we're going to talk about straight off the bat real quickly is the fact that the San Jose Earthquakes have finally signed Timo Werner to a DP contract. So obviously there's been this rumor of when exactly this deal is going to finally get it done. It finally happened today. Now, obviously, as we'll talk about in just a bit, as much as the signing of Timo Werner would definitely give a boost for this Quakes attack, and this is easily one of the biggest names that the Quakes have gone in recent memories. The fact that there is definitely still a huge question of, well, who's going to give him the ball? I mean, they don't have Christian Espinoza anymore. Imagine if Espinoza was still on this team and he can partner up with Timo Werner. That would have been amazing alongside with Chicho Arango. But as we'll talk about in just a bit, especially the guy that I just mentioned, yeah, it looks like he's no longer on this team. The Houston Dynamo, of course, officially signed Mateus Bogusz as a DP, and then the Red Bulls, of course, signing Ethan Horvat from Cardiff City, and then St. Louis City, of course, signing Mamadou Mbake Fall from Barcelona. And again, just kind of go over these signings because most of these we kind of already knew it was going to happen, and each of these teams have pretty much confirmed that the signing has officially made. And I guess they kind of confirmed it because the transfer window, in terms of the primary window in MLS, has just officially opened in these last couple of days, and now that the teams can actually make the official announcement on their side that player is going to be part of their team for this upcoming season. Now, moving on, in terms of some signings that we haven't talked about before and kind of came out of nowhere. So, first of all, the LA Galaxy have signed Eric Tommy off of free agency. I actually didn't realize that Eric Tommy was a free agent. I thought that Sporting KC might have bought him back. Now, I can understand why maybe they didn't want to bring him back because this Sporting KC side, they pretty much are dropping a nuke on their team this offseason. It's a complete rebuild that this team is going to go through, especially with a new manager and also a new ownership group as well. So yeah, they are definitely getting rid of some of their core piece in the past. Eric Tommy, of course, is an example of that, where he was okay during his last year with Sporting KC, but when you look at the contract that they, of course, have to give him, maybe not worth the price. Now, with him going to the Galaxy, I think it's going to be a good move, especially for the fact that I know Eric Tommy is not going to be similar to what Ricky Puig brought to this team, but still, both of them are kind of playing in similar position, and the fact that Tommy can be a decent deep line playmaker, and he has the ability to do so, and the fact that he's also very good when it comes to long range shot. I think this is a great signing for the Galaxy, even if that does eat up a bit of the cap. Which, by the way, the Galaxy actually have some flexibility in the caps. That's something we didn't say about them last year when they really have to pay the cup tax heavily in terms of the cap, and it's kind of no wonder why they really had problem last season in terms of keeping their best talent and had a rough first half of the season. Now, Charlotte FC, they have signed Henry Kessler off of free agency. Remember when I said that a couple of years ago when Henry Kessler was doing very well with New England, that this guy could have a lot of potential, maybe even U.S. men's national team potential. Yeah, it turns out that was not the case, and a big reason why he hasn't been anywhere close to his potential. Injuries. Injuries have absolutely ruined his potential, and this is a bit of a risk for Charlotte to decide a guy that is very injury prone and have had problem in terms of staying healthy. But obviously, with the loss of Melenda this off season, they need to have some defensive depth as well. I don't think Henry Kessler is going to be a regular starter for this team, and I also wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte might even look for another center back to replace Melenda, because clearly, if they're going to replace Henry Kessler or replace Melenda with Henry Kessler, that's not really the best best replacement in my opinion. But certainly it is a depth signing, and they're just hoping that not only could be used for good depth, but he can actually stay healthy for once, which has, as I said, has been a problem for him in these last couple of years as well. Now, the Houston Dynamo, they have signed Franco Negri off of free agency as well. I like this picked up by the Dynamo. Negri, I know in the beginning he did get some playing time for San Diego, but eventually things didn't quite work out for him. Part of that is because they kind of keep playing him in the wrong position. That is, and eventually kind of drop down the pecking order, and next thing you know, seems like they no longer need him. So the Dynamo, of course, picked up a decent depth piece, decent utility kind of player in terms of the fullback position. So yeah, overall, I think this is a good signing by the Houston Dynamo. Now, moving on to some players that's no longer going to be in MLS their respective MLS team because of buyout options. So we saw two teams that exercised the buyout options, starting with RSL exercising the buyout option of Diego Gonzalez, and then Austin, of course, does the same thing with Hado Obrian. Now, starting with Diego Gonzalez, I know a lot of RSL fans will say that this is going to be going down as the biggest DP bust that they'll ever had in franchise history. I don't know about that. I mean, RSL has had history before in terms of completely take a swing and a miss when it comes to the DP signing, and obviously the Diego Gonzalez situation, it was a swing and a miss. I mean, he never really panned out the way that they hoped for, and that's also kind of been the problem for RSL, at least in the last regime, where when they did try to sign a lot of these players and hope that this might form a good core and keep them being a competitive team, and it just doesn't work out whatsoever. And Diego Gonzalez is one of those players that just never really quite worked out, and unsurprisingly, RSL decided to cut ties with him, and in the same process, also open a DP spot as well. Now, with Hunter Obrian definitely got more minutes, at least in the last two seasons, that is. I mean, the thing about Hunter Obrian is that he's kind of very one-dimensional, that we know that he's a very fast kind of player as well, but when it comes to his finishing, it definitely left a lot to desire. It did get better, at least in his last season with Austin, but definitely not enough in terms of the contract that he's earning, and you just kind of had a sense that with him occupy so much of that cap space and not really producing as much as they hope that he is. Unsurprisingly, they decided to exercise the contract buyout, and now we'll see whether or not if there's a team that is looking to get either of the player. I feel like Diego Gonzalez is probably going to be going back to Europe. But for Hodder Aubrey, I wouldn't be surprised there might be some teams that is looking to get him again. He's a very speedy kind of player, and at least from last season, he definitely got a little better when it comes to his finishing. But what you of course get is a guy that is very speedy, and maybe that's something that may fits in some team system, especially for a team that likes to go on the counter attack and rely on the flank as the counter attacking side. Now, moving on in terms of some transfer rumors. So the New York Red Bulls, they are linked with Pumas winger Jorge Rubalcaba, and it's kind of interesting that Rubalcaba, for those that don't know, he actually it was born in the United States. He actually was born in Southern California, and then he's been spending his time in League MX. But now there's a chance that he is going to be coming back to the U.S. And for the Red Bulls to get him, I don't think this is a bad signing. I know some people say that this is maybe a little bit of an underwhelming signing, especially they've been wanted to find the replacement of Lewis Morgan. We'll see whether or not if Rubalcaba can do so in terms of being the replacement for Lewis Morgan. I mean, that's not easy to do. Consider Lewis Morgan when he was healthy, he was definitely electric for this Red Bulls team. And the other thing, the Red Bulls are also want to do is they need some more attacking option as well. I mean, I feel like in some way this is kind of like the backup option of them trying to get Timo Werner to join this team, and it didn't quite work out. Eventually, him going to the Quakes, and now it feels like they need to find a replacement for Lewis Morgan, which they originally was trying to do with Timo Werner. Now that it doesn't work out, then how about let's get this Ruva guy in, and we'll see if this, of course, will be a decent replacement. Now, the Vancouver Whitecaps, there is actually in talk to bring former Columbus and St. Louis and also Minnesota United homegrown winger AZ Jackson. And I want to mention that because I remember when AZ Jackson was with Minnesota, and we definitely saw the potential that he has. It's just unfortunate that Adrian Heath doesn't really kind of believe in his homegrown players, and he didn't really get too much minutes. Eventually, kind of got himself out of the club, and now with St. Louis, he did actually had some good spell with St. Louis, but he also went to Columbus as well. Did okay there before making that move to Europe, and yeah, it's safe to say it hasn't really quite worked out for him. Now he's going to be going to the Vancouver Whitecaps, who's already kind of stacked a little bit in terms of, well, actually they're not really stacked in terms of the fullback position. I mean, they did lose Jaden Nelson and Ali Ahmed, and they're hoping that maybe AZ Jackson might be a direct replacement to Jaden Nelson. Which, if that's the case, I mean, I don't know. You would necessarily say that's a good replacement. Consider the biggest issue for AZ Jackson is the fact that his finishing is absolutely horrendous. I mean, he has a tough time last season, or not last season, but his last year with Columbus, he was having a lot of issue when it comes to his finishing, and also his first touches and the best as well. But I guess for Jasper Sorensen, he's trying to transform him to be a better player. I mean, we said the same about Jaden Nelson when he was with Toronto, and look what he did with Vancouver. I mean, it feels like Sorensen will see this as a good reclamation project, and joining Vancouver is definitely a good team to join, especially with how low that this team is. So yeah, we'll see how if this move does complete, and whether or not if AZ Jackson can go into this new team, a new change of scenery, and maybe finally realize his potential. That I still think there is a potential that he could be a decent player in this league. Now, the Portland Timbers, they have finalizing a deal to sign Cole Bassett from the Colorado Rapids. This is a good deal for the Timbers. Yes, I know Cole Bassett was not as good as he was in his first year with Colorado, but I think he did decent enough where I'm kind of surprised the Rapids are letting him go. But for the Timbers, they'll absolutely take it. Midfield is one area that they need to help, and getting Cole Bassett, a proven talent in MLS that is. I think this could be a good deal, and we'll see how much it exactly it is. There's no doubt this is going to be a player to cash trade. As I think Cole Bassett is still under contract with the Colorado Rapids as we speak. And then Atletico Nacional is actually finalizing a deal to sign Chicho Arango from the San Jose Earthquakes. So yeah, remember how I said that the Quakes are such an inept kind of franchise. So yeah, this offseason they are losing guys left, right, and center while not really improving the team whatsoever. And the thing about Chicho Arango, I mean, I just think that originally with him want to stay with the team. Maybe he'll develop a good partnership between him and Timo Werner, but now it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. It seems like Timo Werner is going to be all by himself, and Timo Werner is not a guy that is known to create chances. I mean, he does have the speed to blow by players, but at the same time, he's not a guy that you will really rely heavily in terms of chance creation, and this is where I just think that as much as the signing of Timo Werner is a decent signing for this Quakes team. Who's gonna give him the ball? I mean, who is gonna exactly give him the ball? Especially with the way that there's just so much holes still to address this team. I mean, it's not just the defense that I'm concerned about the Quakes now. Now I'm kind of concerned about the attack as well because they lost a lot of key contributor in the attack. I mean, I would say they lost about almost 75% of the contribution if Chicho is going to leave compared to last season. And I just think that this season, I would not be surprised if this team finished dead last. I mean, this kind of feels like it's a common theme with the Quakes, where one year they could find themselves so close of making the playoffs, or just barely making the playoffs, and then the very next year they finish bottom of the West, and that's the cycle just repeat itself after. Now, Ajax have agreed a deal to sign FC Dallas goalkeeper Martin Paes. Now, I'm not surprised Paes actually got a move to go not only go back to the Netherlands where he is from, but he gets to join one of the bigger club in Ajax as well. Now, is he going to get minutes with that team? I don't know. I don't think he is going to get minutes, but I also thought that he was probably going to be maybe moving on to somewhere else, considering, Paus lost his job this season to Colodi. It looks like he might want to move somewhere else. And I thought there may be another MLS team that is looking to get him, but no, he's going to go back his native country and, go to join Ajax. That's definitely a team that, even if it doesn't get a lot of minutes, I mean, that's not a bad team to join as well. And I want to say that that's a good team to join when you're trying to develop your career. But Martin Paz is already in his mid or in his late 20s. He's already in his prime of his career as well. Now, Man City, there is a report that they're interested in signing New England Revolution phenom Peyton Miller. Now, this source is a little bit conflicted, and with Peyton Miller, we know that he's going to gets offer in Europe as soon as the summer transfer window. He is definitely a player that has a lot of upside and can definitely make the big jump to Europe. And obviously, with New England, they're going to try to hold on to him as long as possible. And especially, I think the other good thing about Peyton Miller for this upcoming season, he's now able to be under the guidance of Matko Mitrovic, a guy that we know that he does well when it comes to young talent as well, and I think he's going to play a big part of this red side for this upcoming season. And with him continue to get minutes and continue to look good, again, there's going to be a lot of team that is going to get him. Now, him going to Man City, is that the best team for him to join? I mean, I don't know. If he is going to go to Man City, there's no doubt he's going to be loaned to somewhere else. And we've seen before where whenever a big team trying to get a youngster within MLS, on paper it looks like it's a good thing, but then they get loaned from other teams, and then they just kind of get stuck in a endless loan cycle loop that just doesn't really help their career in their new future as well. Now, moving on, in terms of now talk about some general news. So, Ryan Gall, he is going to be missing the first couple of weeks of the season after undergoing an arthroscopic procedure on his left knee. So, yeah, that's a bit of a blow for the Vancouver Whitecaps, especially with what seems like their captain started to maybe be healthy for this upcoming season. It's hard to believe that Ryan Gold was once as the most pivotal piece for this Whitecaps team, and he is still a very pivotal piece for this team, but he's not really the guy that you would just say that he's kind of like the main guy for this team upcoming. That just shows you how good the Whitecaps has been in this past season, and how Jasper Sorensen and this front office has pushed all the right buttons in terms of building this team to be such a juggernaut like what we saw last season. And then Atlanta United, they have named Brad Guzan as the club ambassador and sporting advisor. So this one's not a big surprise. Brad Guzan will definitely go down as a legend with Atlanta United. Wouldn't be surprised that if Atlanta decided to build some statue of their player. You know, Miguel Almiron probably will get one. Joseph Martinez probably might get one as well. But Brad Guzan would also get one as well. Consider, before this year where he retired, I think he was the last member of this Atlanta United team that was part of this team in their expansion season back in 2017. I'm kind of surprised that he elected to not maybe go into to coaching. He seems like he could be a guy that could definitely do well in the coaching world, but at least for now, he's gonna join the team at least in the front office role, and yeah, we'll see how he's gonna do now that he has a new role after freshly announced his retirement last season. And then moving on in terms of the next news, and this is a thing that I don't think I've talked about before, and I've been kind of trying to avoid talking about this because when it comes to politics, I just try to avoid talking about the this on this channel. But this is something that I'm pretty sure everybody have heard about, and it's very sad to see this is happening with the ongoing unrest that's going on in Minnesota, and in many ways, it's kind of almost personal in a way because Minnesota and the Twin City, that is an area that I've traveled the most in the past couple of years. Like the last 3 years, I've at least made a trip to Minnesota and going to the Twin City at least 10 times. The last time I was there was in November, and I still remember most of the things there. And just looking at what's going on in the Twin City, especially what's going on in Minneapolis, of being just kind of a war zone right now. It's really sad to see that is the case, and this is also why I'm really hoping eventually that they'll find a solution, and there's a resolve in terms of that ongoing unrest between the protester and the whole ICE situation. Because I do want to go back to Minnesota. I do want to go watch a Loons game on Allianz Field. But if this kind of continue, I mean, I think it would be a little bit too risky for me to go there as well. But I also would say that this ongoing situation, not only this is a really bad look in Minnesota perspective, but this is actually really hurting the Loons as well. I mean, I know there's been a lot of people that's been criticizing the Loons for not releasing a statement, and I think they have tried to do so as well. I mean, at the end of the day, teams are going to eventually release a statement, and that's all it is. They don't want to get too much into the whole political situation. At the end of the day, they just trying to keep an eye on what's going to happen this season. But for Minnesota United, this ongoing rust kind of hurts them too, because not only the fact that right now there's a lot of Loons player have openly spoken out about this situation, but this also kind of hurts the recruitment as well. And as much as I really want this team to make some signings to improve the team, because when I look at this team, there's definitely still some improvement that they can make to get themselves back to where they were last year, being an MLS Cup contender. But it's kind of hard to do so. And when you look at the last couple of recruitment that they try to do, most recently they trying to get this cherry on Valerie guy, but apparently it seems like that deal is off. And they said that it's not really related to the situation with the ongoing unrest. I don't believe that. I feel like it has everything to do with it, and that I don't blame a lot of these foreign players decide to not join Minnesota and have to deal with this situation, because this is a very scary thing, especially for foreign players and people coming into a situation that it can really affect their life right now. So yeah, that really kind of hurts this team in terms of the ongoing recruitment as well. And this is why I'm really hoping eventually this unrest does quiet down a little bit, and that yeah, it's definitely very sad to see that happen. I definitely send my condolences and send my best wishes to all the people in Minnesota. I definitely speak to a lot of Loons fan at Allianz Field a couple of times. Loons fans are among some of the friendliest people, and the same goes for all Minnesota as well. I mean, there's a reason why there's that classic stereotype of Minnesota being Minnesota nice, but seeing what's going on right now, it is really sad sad to see. And again, I'm really hoping eventually they'll resolve this, and that by the time when the season begins, I can actually go to Minnesota and don't have to worry about some random people trying to check to see if I'm actually a citizen of the United States. Now, moving on to talk about more better topic. So the Seattle Sounders, they have announced that they're going to have a New Jersey sponsor after the 2027 season. So they are going to be moving on from Providence as their jersey sponsor. Although I heard that they are going to keep that as their or not jersey sponsor, but just as one of their sponsor as well. And I think it's about time as well because again, seeing Providence on a Seattle Sounders jersey, it just kind of feels wrong because the Portland Timbers, their stadium is also called Providence Park. It's kind of weird to see two rivals with one of them having a stadium name after, and then the other rival wears the same sponsor as well. And not to mention, Providence have kind of did some very shady business. It's a very shady kind of company, which not a big surprise because I feel like almost a quarter of the team shirt sponsor has some very shady business in the past as well. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what the New Jersey sponsor is going to be. I really hope Xbox eventually somehow find a way to bring back to get a new get with the Seattle Sounders and ask them to once again be their jersey sponsors because those Xbox Seattle Sounders jersey that look really cool, and I think Microsoft should definitely get into it. Even Amazon too. I feel like Amazon maybe could get involved with the Seattle Sounders, and I wonder if Amazon will eventually sponsor. Well, if the Amazon is going to be like the jersey sponsor of the Sounders, I wonder what they're going to do. Are they going to do similar to what they did with the arena that the Kraken play, where instead of that arena being called the Amazon Arena, they basically name it the Climate Pledge Arena. That is. Now, last but not least, so this is a thing I already mentioned before, and actually did a video earlier this afternoon talking about which exactly are the USL Championship side, or even some cities that maybe have a chance to be part of the inaugural USL Premier Division starting in 2028. But it's important to kind of once again talk about how the USL they have now outlining this free division framework. We got the USL Premier, the top division, the USL Championship, the second tier division, and then you got USL League One, the third tier competition, and it's going to be part of the promotion and relegation system that will start in 2028. Again, I'm very fascinated to see how this, of course, work. I also read in the article that if you do get relegated into the second division, there is a chance that you will get a certain amount of parachute uh, payment if you get relegated in the second division. I kind of find it that interesting because when we talk about parachute payment, we always talk about that in the English game where if you get relegated to the Premier League to the championship, you get a certain amount of parachute money. And I'm also interested to see like with all these division and the amount that each of these team is going to get. Is that going to, of course, work out? I mean, for a long time, we've been always asking for promotion and relegation to be part of the American soccer landscape, and I've always said that there's two sides in terms of it, and that there's the good side and there's also the negative side that is being played. But now that it feels like the USL is really taking this, I mean, I don't want to say it's a risk, but I feel like it's a little bit of a great leap of forward to try to now promote something that a lot of American soccer fans has been wanted to do for a very long time in the American soccer landscape of the promotion and relegation system. I want to see if it of course will work out with the USL, and if it does work out promisingly, then this is where it gets to another interesting topic of the fact that yeah, it feels like with USL and MLS kind of not really seeing eye to eye, and that I've already mentioned, it feels like there could be a civil war brewing between both of these leagues, especially with one of the league is having their one of their division literally mono to mono rival with MLS in terms of being the top tier of U.S. soccer. Yeah, I'm very interested to see how that, of course, would work out. And there could be a case where, when I've seen this before in other sports league in the U.S., when there's a competitive league, a merger seems like it could be be imminent in the future as well. But there you have it. That is pretty much it when it comes to looking at this News of the Week episode. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these news, and if there's any news I didn't mention here on the board, let me know in the comments below as always. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.